So how do you rise to the heights Eminem has achieved? It starts at underground hip-hop clubs like this one. As you battle for respect, you gotta have faith in yourself because you're starting from the bottom up. So here we are. This is the Detroit famous club Shelter, right?
This is kind of the mock-up of what the 8 Mile movie was. This was kind of what they based the movie off of. It's like we kind of went back to 95, 96.
I kept rhyming and step right in the next cipher. Best believe somebody's paying the Pied Piper.
It was in rhyme circles like this where Eminem first realized who he was. An MC with something to say. More important, he wasn't afraid to say it.
When did you really feel like you had the gall to actually step in a cipher, step to somebody and just bust?
You know, back then, somebody would call somebody out on the mic. And I don't think I ever called anybody out. I always got called out. You know what I'm saying? You know, somebody had a mic and the white boy over there can get it too.
So break me down. Like, how would you break down an MC? I'm gonna give you a pass to break me down. If I was an MC just stepping at you like this, you know.
If you was an MC and you had caught me out,
yeah.
Well, it would depend on it probably would depend on what
I said,
what you said to me in order for me to throw it back. But
I'll say top of the head, Slim Shady. Weaker than the ankles on the elderly lady. Faker than a mannequin posing at Old Navy. Screw it, I'ma change your name, introducing Slim Brady.
Then I would say to you, off the top of your head, that's not off the top of your head, I'll take the turban off the top of your head. If you flat on the ground dead, yo, I'm #1. And that suit right there is from 1981. And first of all, you don't want to step to me. Look at your shoes. Dog, they're broke as they're broker than you. Look at your gear. Your get the out of here. I don't want to have it here. Take another beer. Go take a sip. Here, go sit down. Do yourself a favor, because, dog, you're a clown. The orange and
I just got officially slayed by him.
And then, you know, the best part about it was, no matter what somebody said to the next person, you shake hands. You know what I'm saying? And it was all love.
Yeah. Now let's fast forward in your career. You decided to make the movie 8 Mile, and it seems like this battling legacy is pretty much the vocal point of that movie.
See me without a style's like mustard without the Heinz. I lead the new school. You're a buster without the rhymes.
We knew we wanted to make a movie where it showed why battling was so essential and was so intense. Everybody had to be the first person to make it from Detroit.
But it also felt like with the movie, it was your way of giving back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody wants to give back to their hometown, and any bit of light I could bring to the city, you know, I wanted to do. So with the movie 8 Mile and with the Ford Field show, that's why I live here. This is why I stay here. This is why I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I was at the show at Ford Field, and it was big.
Detroit! Just blocks away from the Shelter is Detroit's Ford Field, where nearly 50,000 screaming fans witnessed the biggest hip-hop show the city's ever seen. M's had some monster performances in his career, but the Ford Field show forever solidified the bond between Detroit and his hometown hero, Eminem.
We fast forward in your career now, and things have changed in a major way since the days of the Shelter to performing now in places like Ford Field. I know I talked to Jay-Z, and he said, being a native of New York, one of the biggest things he accomplished that he really liked was the fact that he got to perform in the Garden.
Yeah, to sell out the Garden.
Yeah. How was it for you performing here in Detroit at Ford Field?
Crazy.
All these people I had to leave in limbo. I'm back now, caught the release the sequel.
This many people at once was insane.
Yeah. You know, I was at the show.
All right, that's right, Eminem. Come on, man. This is big.
I actually sat somewhere up there. Those were the VIP seats you guys gave me way up at top, but I had a good view of the show.
Oh, I didn't do that thing, man.
It's all right, dog.
I'd have had you up front, you know, on the side of the stage or something.
You know what was great about being right there? I was with the people from Detroit, and I kid you not, I saw grown men who had to be in their 40s to little kids who probably were 7 or 8, and every age group in between, singing along with lyrics, and to watch the reaction from this whole stadium of 45, 50,000 people react to you and watching you evolve to this point, I realized that your power has reached the apex now. So when you...
That makes me nervous.
Yeah, you should be. So what did that feel like for you when you saw these people react? What goes on in your mind? Because you're a kid from a trailer park, you know?
Right. I mean, that is exactly what was going through my mind. It was like the power. You know, I always want to feed off the energy of the crowd. And the crowd was just ballistic. You know what I'm saying? Like stadiums the size of this and just packing them and selling them out. Mm-hmm. You know, it's amazing. Just when you think it can't get any bigger, it just keeps getting bigger.
Does anything transition for you as an artist? Now you realize I have all this power. I can move it to the left, I can maneuver it to the right, and all of these millions of people who bought my records will follow. Listening to your new album, you have the record Mosh.
Come along, follow me as I lead through the darkness, as I provide just enough spark.
Now, Mosh is probably the most political I've seen you get, where you actually put yourself out on a limb and made some serious statements. What was the message, first of all, in Mosh that you wanted to get across?
Even though Bush is reelected, with what's going on in the war and, you know, what he's got our country into, you know, I felt like I'd be letting a lot of people down if I did not come out and speak out.
No more blood for oil, we got our own battles to fight on our own soil.
And again, it's one man's opinion. It's my opinion. And last time I checked, you know, I had freedom of speech. But I felt like it was my duty to at least let people know the way I felt. And that's the way I still feel.
Until they bring our troops home, come on.
Can we expect to hear more records in the future that make these kind of statements from you?
Well, I mean, we'd have to see. It depends on the state of the world, and I usually try not to get too political.
Yeah.
You know, Mosh was just, I felt it at the time. I felt I wanted to say it and get it off my chest, and that's been the story of since my career began, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes an impact, because at the shelter you had a microphone. Now that you reached this point in your career, it's like you got a megaphone, and when you say things, everybody's gonna hear, right?
Josh saying things, then all of a sudden comes out of space and says a line about my daughter. And when it got to that level, that's when it got crazy to me. This whole TRL thing, is this a gift or is it a curse? Curse.
When you first came out to the world, at least, My Name was that first record.
My name is...
Why was it such a milestone to have that video played on TRL?
I didn't, you know, 100% understand what TRL was. And I didn't realize it was so driven by kids. It's almost like the kids control it. Mm-hmm. And when I found out the video was whatever number it was at, just to know that it was on there felt like, uh-oh, it's really about to happen.
Give it up for Eminem. When Eminem returned to TRL just a few years after his debut there, the love from fans was overwhelming.
I think we have to bring the shades down. In the history of MTV, I've never seen anything quite like it. A little overwhelmed? A lot overwhelmed, but
you know, I don't make pop music. And all of a sudden, I started making popular music. Mm-hmm. So it was like, when I first started lashing out at pop stars, it was because I was placed in that category. And coming from being an underground MC, I just didn't want to be grouped in with that bunch.
I'm sick of you little girl and boy groups, all you do is annoy me, so I have been sent here to destroy you.
In the past, you could say certain things about certain artists. Now when you make a song called Just Lose It, now you're the target, too. And I know Michael Jackson has come out and protested your video.
What else could I possibly do to make noise? I done touched on everything but little boys. That's not a stab at Michael, that's just a metaphor. I'm just psycho.
That was never intended to be anything more than just spoofing pop icons from the 80s. As far as his music, the man is a legend. And in all honesty, his personal business and what he's got going on and all that, like, I'm neither here nor there with it.
It's easy for M to shrug off criticism from other famous artists, but facing public fallout for lyrics labeled as offensive, that's impossible to avoid.
When it first seemed obvious to me that you were becoming a target, And it's just at a point where you accomplished so much, probably about the 2001 Grammys. The gay community was in an uproar over lyrics you had said. People were picketing the Grammys and claiming that you were homophobic. When you first heard that accusation, what goes through your mind?
I'm not the first rapper to say the word gay or the word faggot in a rap, but for some reason, when I had said that word, that word meant more than the average rapper.
So are you homophobic?
Nah, I'm whatever. Like, I'm just the average kid from middle to lower class neighborhoods growing up. It's just a word you learn. It's just a word. It was that nonchalant way of like saying you're being an asshole, and it was completely dismissed off. Nobody really thought of it as being like that.
But an angry and increasingly vocal opposition wasn't having that. With millions of young fans hanging on his every word, M couldn't escape accountability for his harsh lyrics. He had to do something, and he responded in the way he knew best, by taking it to the stage.
This is the biggest news going, the fact that you were going to perform on stage with Elton John, who is a celebrated homosexual celebrity who, you know, doesn't hide it. And how did that idea come about? Who suggested it? Did you come up with that? He came up with that?
We were debating on whether I was going to perform at the Grammys or not. And I was like, the only way I'll perform at the Grammys is with Elton John. And I was saying it in kind of jest, like thinking that it would never happen. And then the idea of it just started becoming more like, okay, this is a way to really flip it around and really f people's head up.
Yes, we should be together too. But she's gone
For the sake of messing their heads up, or did you want to also, through your action, make a statement that, look, I'm okay with this?
It was more so like, you know, just a statement, period. Like, if you really think that about me, you really don't know Marshall. You really don't know me.
Being this newfound target, since then, drama hasn't stopped.
Yep.
For you. You have a song called Toy Soldiers on your new album, and you confront a lot of issues in a very introspective and real way.
There used to be a time when you could just say a rhyme and wouldn't have to worry about one of your people dying.
Toy Soldiers is about, like, just walking away from the beef. It's like, look, I'm done.
I'll walk away from it all before I let it go any further.
For the Shady Aftermath G-Unit family, beef has been a constant. From the melee involving G-Unit Aftermath at the 2004 Vibe Awards, to M's beef with Source magazine owner Benzino, to the well-documented feud between 50 Cent and Ja Rule.
Now I've inherited 50's beef, he's inherited mine, so now he can't be on the cover of the Source magazine because I got this beef over here, you know, and he's being attacked by Ja saying things about me, then all of a sudden comes out his face and says a line about my daughter.
There's a certain line you just don't cross, and he crossed it. I heard him say Haley's name on the song and I just lost it.
And when it got to that level, that's when it got crazy.
This ain't what I'm in hip-hop for, it's not why I gotten it.
The phrase to me, Toy Soldiers, it's symbolic to all of us in this rap game just being pawns, almost, it feels like. Heads of record labels and stuff like that, they benefit off this, you know what I'm saying? And they go home at night and they can sleep, knowing that they're selling records, but meanwhile, we're really out here. And it's usually the innocent people that really ain't got that much to do with it, besides the fact of affiliation with us, they end up getting hurt or killed.
Do you lose sleep thinking about that?
Yeah, I lose a lot of sleep thinking about just stuff like that. Trying to juggle, trying to maintain a certain amount of fame and wanting to be able to have a label and be able to create, you know, a whole food chain, but also at the same time wanting to be a father. And if there ever comes a day that I would have to pick one or the other, you know, I already know what it would be. You know what I'm saying? I would walk away from all of this if I had to. You know.
For your daughter?
For my little girl.
You know, it seemed like you've gone through a serious transition and evolution, you know, since the days of I just don't give a F and till now?
I think a lot of it has to do with just maturing and age and everything, just being, just growing up. This man is a legend, and he saved my life, and I'll never forget that.
5 years after the Slim Shady LP, it's time for Eminem's encore. Today, he's one of the most successful rappers of all time. But it wasn't that long ago when Eminem was just another hungry rapper from Detroit looking for his big break.
During one of the open mic nights, EPMD was up there. We were so geeked to get in there and play our demo. So we caught them in the elevator, and we had a radio with us, and they was like, you could tell they was, in a hurry to get somewhere. So they was like, yeah, it's cool. Keep up the good work, whatever. And just by them saying that, and just by us seeing them,
that was a big moment for you guys.
It was a little bit starstruck.
He didn't know it then, but Eminem would soon be getting more than just words of encouragement from hip-hop's heavyweights. Just a couple of years later, little-known Marshall Mathers got a call from the Godfather himself.
Clear the story up. How did you and Dre meet?
The legend has it that when I came out to L.A. for the Rap Olympics, Dre had heard me. I had an EP pressed up, and he had got my tape from Jimmy Iovine and was driving in his car or something, and Dre said as soon as he heard it, threw it on, he was like, yo, where's he at?
And the rest is history.
And there it is.
Okay, so you're a broke, hungry rapper, you feel like you'll never blow up, and suddenly you're in the studio with the greatest producer in the history of hip-hop? Come on, man.
Were you surprised by the chemistry you guys had in the studio? I mean, what was that like the first time you came in? Were you nervous? And
I was anxious, too. Like, everything that he threw a beat onto was just like, yo, let me go in the booth. And if I didn't have something that went to that beat, I'd write something right then and there. I knew that I had to give it everything I got to the 10th power. I mean, this man is a legend, you know what I'm saying? And I got so much to live up to. I gotta be the illest.
Coming real, it's the next episode.
When you guys teamed up, it seemed like it was mutually beneficial because, Dre is Dre. Hands down, one of the best producers ever. But you also helped him be relevant. Would you agree?
Dre has said that to me before, but like in a real sense, I had nothing, and Dre would have been cool. Dre would have been straight without me. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't me, you probably would have found somebody else. But he saved my life, and like I never forget that.
Dre's influence on Eminem has yielded more than just platinum-selling albums. Not only has the eager student become one of the game's hottest producers, but he's also become quite the teacher, mentoring hip-hop's newest megastar, 50 Cent.
It seemed like, when you look at it from the outside in, Dre seemed like a big brother to you, and you seem like a big brother to 50. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it kind of does work like that. I'm able to, soak up what I've learned from Dre, feed that to 50. And 50 in turn is able to do that and feed that to G-Unit.
In hip-hop, a lot of times when crews start to become successful, they end up breaking up. In the case of you, Dre, and 50, you guys seem to be even more cohesive the more success you achieve. I mean, what's the secret?
The secret to it is basically loyalty. When me, Dre, and 50 get in a room, it's like no envy, no jealousy, and that's what happens with a lot of crews is like somebody may get a little more light than the other person, and then that person gets jealous and wants to go off on their own. We really don't chip off it, at all.
Basically, you're a guy who came from a trailer park to becoming today the biggest recording artist that's out in the world. What is it that you dream about doing now? What do you aspire to do?
It's people for me to stop thinking that I came from a trailer park because I didn't grow up in the trailer parks. I did live in trailer parks for a short period of time, from here and there, but I bounced around a lot. But my contribution to this game is to help the growth of hip-hop and build it. From the pioneers since Run DMC to the Beastie Boys to LL, they all played a part in my upbringing just as well as I may have in, Lil Jeremy from Idaho, who we don't know about right now, is 13 years old, you know what I'm saying? Coming up, that next white kid or that next rapper, period, to just keep hip-hop expanding. That's what's up.
Man, it's always good talking to you, man. Always. I just want to say for the record, too, that I won that battle we had earlier. Slim Shady. Weaker than the ankles on an elderly lady. I really didn't appreciate you saying my clothes were bummy. Because to me, you look like...
crummy, and you look like a dummy. And yo, you're dressed like a mummy. Because your head's wrapped from here to your tummy. Anyway, y'all get the idea.